Yo, what's good everyone? Thank you for tuning in to today's video. As you can see from the title, it is that time in the month again. So in today's video, we will be taking a look at my top 10 favourite upcoming releases for the month of September. Now, August was absolutely incredible for me personally, from Sneakers Day to a bunch of incredible pickups. I'm almost hoping that September's actually a little bit quieter, but looking at these releases, there are some absolutely incredible releases for us to take a look at. So I'm really excited to get into this one. Sit back, relax, and let's go ahead and dive straight into this video. So kicking us off with our very first release that we will be taking a look at. First up we have the TomSachs Nightcraft General Purpose Shoe, releasing in the Archive colourway on September 2nd for a retail price of £100. Very reasonable retail price, especially in this current climate. Now the shoe itself, in my personal opinion, isn't that exciting. I'm not a fan of TomSachs shoes. I put that out there from the get-go. I didn't like the Mars Yards. I haven't liked the other general purpose releases. And this shoe for me is a little bit Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. And this is just one of those ones that I'll be more than happy to pass on. But I'm including it in this list for you guys because I know a lot of people are really excited about it, and that's why it's here. Now the colourway itself, I will point out, is probably one of the better ones that I've seen. I've seen a few rumoured. Again, they're a little bit up and down. Some are okay, some aren't too bad. Some are a little bit rubbish in my opinion. This one's not too bad. At least it has a little bit of pop of colour in there. That mostly all yellow colour is definitely a really nice look. And especially as we head into like autumn and winter, the whole purpose of the shoe is to be worn, not to be like kept like in crates. And I did actually read somewhere, you know, as like a quote from TomSachs himself, which said that he was actually getting quite frustrated that a lot of people were putting his shoes up on a pedestal. So he wanted to come back with another collaboration with Nike and make the shoe all about wearing it and owning less and doing more. And that's definitely a sentiment that I can get behind, even if his shoe doesn't really speak to me on a personal level. In my personal opinion, I can definitely see these selling out, and I definitely think that they are actually going to be reselling for a fair bit of money as well. So fingers crossed to everyone who wants them, because again, this shoe is definitely going to sell out. So just moving on swiftly to the next shoe up on our list, and this next one is actually a shoe that has been talked about for quite a while now. So the next release that we are taking a look at is the Air Jordan 6 in the Georgetown colourway, finally scheduled to be releasing on the 2nd of September for a retail price of £180. Now, I've been talking about the shoe quite a bit. There's been a few different videos where the shoe has been rumoured and then been pushed back. And then we did actually see these on the autumn collection by Jordan brand. Now, for me personally, I'm a huge fan of the Air Jordan 6 line. This colourway, however, even though it's probably one of the best releases of the year, isn't actually something that I'm going to be going for the personal collection. There's a few reasons as to why that is. I feel like releasing in autumn, especially with the weather changes in Britain, there's very limited time for me to actually be able to wear the shoe and appreciate the shoe, and I'm really not the kind of person to want to hold a shoe until next year to actually want to wear it. So this is definitely something that I'm going to let pass me by begrudgingly, because I think the colourway itself is really nice. It's definitely going to be one of the best Jordan 6 releases over the course of the year, regardless of what's come out and what's going to come out. It's just super clean, that all grey look, the hits of midnight navy. You definitely can't go wrong with these. I've seen some people dressing these up as well for like weddings and stuff like that. So it is definitely a multi-purpose shoe, you know, that you maybe didn't think would be a multi-purpose shoe. And even though this is a very, very clean pair of Jordan 6s, given the fact that there is some pretty intense, you know, recession talks going on right now, and a lot of people are going to be struggling financially come October and then the winter, I fully expect that this is a shoe that is going to sit. Not just because of the high retail price of £180, but I definitely feel like a lot more people are going to be a lot more selective, as I am. So this is definitely one that I wouldn't enter all the raffles for. Even though it's a super clean look, I can fully expect that this shoe is definitely going to be readily available. I think there'll be high stock numbers, and I think if you really want it, you should definitely be able to get it. So just moving on to the next shoe up on our list, and this next shoe that we are taking a look at is the Air Jordan 4 Black Canvas, scheduled to be finally releasing on the 3rd of September for a retail price of £200. I honestly have no idea where they pull these price points from. From one pair of Jordan 4s to the next, the price point's different. So the infrareds were 180, the Canyon Purples were 180, the Black Canvas is 200, the other Canvas ones were 200 as well, even the Zen Masters were 200. So I have no idea where they pull them from. It seems completely random at this point, but it just kind of is what it is. Now the shoe itself, for obvious reasons, is highly anticipated by a bunch of people because it does bear that obvious resemblance to the M&M Carhartt 4s. Now, if you're anything like me and you can't afford the M&Ms, this, of course, is a very nice runners-up prize. The all-black look, the hits of grey in there, this is definitely going to be a shoe high on the agenda, even with that impending, you know, cost of living crisis and all those other kind of things. I'm sure that a lot of people, if they were to only pick one shoe this month, this would definitely be high up on the list for quite a lot of people. So with that in mind, I fully expect that this shoe is definitely 110% gonna sell out. I think every raffle you should definitely enter. I think the resale price is gonna be astronomical. Maybe not astronomical in the context of maybe 2020 or 2021 prices, but I could definitely see this in the short term being at least £300 and then going up depending on the sizing. I'm kind of good on these and I don't really feel like I need these for the personal collection. I've already taken myself out of the running and I've already committed my, like raffle entries to a good friend of mine, Pat, so I'm kind of hoping that I can actually hit for him and then also to be able to bring you guys a review on the channel. So definitely one that I'm looking out for somebody else. But I do feel like this is definitely going to be one of those shoes that's incredibly difficult to get no matter what. Because again, this is definitely 100% going to sell out. So just moving on to the next shoe up on our list, and this next one that we are taking a look at is the New Balance 9060 in the classic grey colourway, also scheduled to be releasing on the 3rd of September for a retail price of £139. This one's a little bit more up my street, more so in terms of the price point, but again in terms of the shoe itself, it just looks absolutely incredible to me. Now I've been admiring the 9060 for a little bit of time now. There's been a few decent colourways, but nothing's really scratched that itch for me in terms of actually wanting to go out there and pick one up. Now, I did see that they did like a brown pair maybe last month or the month before. They were pretty decent. Not something I felt like I had to have personally, but I definitely want to dip my toes in the water when it does come to this new silhouette. And this classic grey colourway, because no one does grey better than New Balance, is definitely high on the agenda for me as a shoe that I want to add to my personal collection. I don't know much about the model. Hopefully I'll know a lot more when I get the shoe in hand. I can give you guys that detailed review. But just in terms of how it looks at face value, the classic grey look, the overall silhouette of the shoe is definitely quite futuristic, and it's probably going to turn some heads as well, even though it is a New Balance shoe that I'm sure quite a few people would say is a little bit, like a dad shoe, a little bit blasé, that they're not really too hyped or anything like that. New Balance are pretty clever when it comes to the marketing. They'll give us a collab like the Joey Freshgood ones, and then release a bunch of like GR releases afterwards to kind of, facilitate those that weren't able to get the hype ones. So I'm kind of hoping that's the case for these. I do think they will be readily available. I wouldn't recommend paying resale early, because this is definitely one of those ones that I'm hoping is going to be readily available. So just moving on to the next shoe up on our list, and we have for me the pinnacle of the month. So the next shoe that we are taking a look at is the Air Jordan 3 in the fire red colourway, scheduled to be releasing on the 10th of September for a retail price of £180. Now for those of you that are subscribed to the channel already, we did recently just do a review of these. Fortunately enough, I was able to get a pair early thanks to a good friend of mine, so again, shout outs to you. Thank you! Now, if you do want to check out that review after watching this video, I will make sure to leave a link above in the cards if you want to check that out early. But in terms of the shoe itself, being the fact that it's releasing in its truest OG form since its first release back in 1988, this shoe is a must cop for a bunch of people, and for me is definitely the best release throughout September. And I do expect that, given the fact that this is an OG release, a lot of people are going to be excited for it, but I do still think there's going to be a very high stock number for these. I've already seen a bunch of people got them early, and a bunch of people on the shock drop got them, and then there is still a much wider release to come. So this isn't one that I would recommend you paying resale for. Definitely wait until the 10th of September, enter those raffles, enter on sneakers, and I do think that you'll have a pretty decent chance of getting them. In the short term, I do think that if you do miss out, you will be able to get them at a pretty reasonable price at resale. The longer you leave it, the longer it is, the higher those prices will be. And in 4 or 5 years, I do fully expect that this shoe is actually going to be quite up there in terms of cost. For me, for example, I got the Black Cements last year and I paid just under £400 for them. And they last released in 2018 with the Nike Air on the back. So maybe in 2026, this shoe could be a £400 or £500 shoe as well. So if you want these for the personal collection, definitely enter for them, because this shoe is absolutely incredible and definitely one you need for your personal collection. So just moving on swiftly to the next shoe up on our list, this next pair that we will be taking a look at is the J Balvin Air Jordan 2 in the blue colourway, scheduled to be releasing on the 15th of September for a rumoured retail price of £225. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of J Balvin in terms of his music or even his sneaker collabs that he's done with Jordan Brand in the past. The Jordan ones that released, I definitely wasn't feeling them. It just wasn't a shoe that I felt like I wanted to go for. But this one, in terms of like just how I feel about it, I think these are absolutely incredible. I've seen quite a few reels about them. I've seen a lot of those, confirmed images. And I just think the shoe looks absolutely amazing. I'm not the biggest fan of the Jordan 2. It's mainly collabs, to be honest, and OG colorways. The GR stuff kind of just is a little bit too blasé for me. But this one is definitely going to be one of the best Jordan 2 releases of the year in my personal opinion. I love everything about it. I love what they did with the back end of the shoe with like making it kind of look a bit like clouds or something. I don't really know the full backstory on it. I haven't really spent too much time looking into it. I'm just tackling it from a face-on perspective, and I think the colorway is super clean. Now, for obvious reasons, I can fully expect that this shoe isn't going to be easy to get for most people. I feel like you will need to put your footwork in, both by entering raffles and being ready on Sneakers app. So this is definitely one you do need to put all your footwork in for early. Maybe get your friends to enter as well, because of how, I do expect this going to be fairly limited and a lot of people are quite excited for it. So again, just to reiterate, definitely do all your footwork for this one, because again, I do expect that this shoe is going to sell out. So just moving on swiftly to the next shoe up on our list, and this next pair I'm very, very excited for. So the next shoe that we are taking a look at is the Nike Air Max 1 in the Crep Hemp colorway, finally scheduled to be releasing on the 16th of September for a retail price of £145. Now, I personally am absolutely in love with the Air Max 1 this year. I'm not a purist, I'm not an OG head, I'm very much new to the Air Max 1. I was always put off the silhouette because my mum wore it when I was younger, and I more drifted towards the Air Max 90s, and that was kind of where I felt most comfortable. But ever since I got my first pair of the Patters that I got last year, I've just been absolutely obsessed with them. And over the course of this year, I think I've picked up maybe 11 or 12 pairs already, from collabs to GRs, and I just can't get enough right now. And this one is just absolutely incredible. I do believe that this is maybe like a retro spin on a previous colorway. I don't know too much about it. I will acquaint myself more if I do get them for the review. But I just think at face value, the colorway is fire. I think it's absolutely incredible. But quite disappointingly, I do believe that this is actually a women's exclusive release. So any of you fellas with the bigger feet, you may actually miss out on these. I'm not entirely sure of what it's going to be. But, it's just kind of one of those things where Nike is definitely pushing the agenda of having a lot of women's releases, which I fully respect and fully support. But at the same time, when it comes to a release like this, like the Crep Hemps, like the Tor Yellows, like even the Canyon Purple 4s, I feel like they should be available to absolutely everyone in absolutely every single size possible. And it's just kind of one of those things. I think for me, this is definitely a pinnacle for the month. I've got my Fire Red 3s, which was the pinnacle. So this is high on the agenda. I have to have these to the collection. I'm not sure if there's any raffles up at this point. I do expect that will probably be, materializing over the next couple of weeks. But I do feel like this is definitely going to be a really difficult one to get. Air Maxes, especially the Air Max 1, does hold a lot of weight and a lot of fan affair. So if you want these, like me, if you're one of the larger feet and kind of can fit into the women's sizing, do make sure you are entering all the raffles. Do make sure you are available on Sneakers. And fingers crossed you will be able to get them. So just moving on from one Air Max 1 to another, the next shoe that we are taking a look at is the Nike Air Max 1 in the Dirty Denim colorway, scheduled to be releasing on the 20th of September, again for a retail price of £145. Now, originally I did see this shoe actually available for raffle on the SNS website. Looks like they've pushed it back. If you go on there now, I believe it is showing as the 20th of September, and that is currently the only place that I've personally seen that this shoe is currently raffling for Europe. This shoe has already released over in the US, and I'm not sure if it's released anywhere else. I've seen a bunch of people post up a bunch of sneakers wins, and I'm a little bit jealous that they got them early. It's a very exciting release. It's a very clean colorway. I'm not sure if I need it personally, because I've just recently completed the concepts pack, and I'm not sure if it's maybe denim overload, having 4 pairs of denim shoes. So I'm kind of on the fence as to whether I need these. I feel like, considering they are scheduled to be releasing quite soon after the Crep Hemps, if I got them both, I probably would be more inclined to keep the Crep Hemps and then let go of the denims. But I do still feel like it's a really clean colorway. I feel like I've seen a bunch of people talking about bleaching them and slightly changing the color of it. So I'd be really interested to see how that turns out. Not something that I personally could see myself doing. Maybe if you guys wanted it for a video, maybe we could look at doing that. But I'm not really, too much into that whole customizing phase. But I think just, fresh out of the box, how it looks based on those confirmed images. It's a really clean shoe. It just looks absolutely incredible. But I'm still not convinced I need it, just given everything I've picked up this year. Now with this one, I fully expect that if you want it, you will be able to get it. I feel like there's going to be a bunch of pairs available. I do believe that it's going to be a men's release as well, so it doesn't seem like there's going to be a limited size run on it. But if you do want to get yourself in the raffles early, head over to the SNS app, get your entry in, and then keep an eye on the raffles guide on the Soul Suppliers website, because when any other future raffles get listed, all the information will be on there. So as we actually look to close out this video and actually head towards the end of the list, this one is actually a little bit of a twist and probably not something that I would normally include in one of these videos. The next shoe that we are taking a look at is the Nike Air Force 1 in the White Python colorway, scheduled to be releasing on the 22nd of September for a retail price of £125, or at least that's the rumoured retail price point. Now this isn't one of those shoes that I would normally associate as one that I would include in this list, simply because I'm not a huge Air Force 1 guy. But after getting the Sneakers Day pairs, I'm definitely, keeping my head on a swivel, and I'm kind of looking out for a lot more releases. And I saw these on the Source Players website, and I was straight away looking into them. That amazing, weird, interesting upper that they're using. I'm not sure what the material is. It looks a little bit like scales, of course, given that it's a python. It looks very interesting. Definitely one that I would love to review for the channel. I'm sure Scorps is going to get a pair for his channel as well, so he'll probably have his review out a week and a half before me anyway. So definitely subscribe to Scorps if you haven't already. The resident Air Force One King, I'm sure, will have you covered on these. But I think for me personally, after the Sneakers Day pickup, I wouldn't mind maybe adding in one or two slightly interesting pairs. I'm not a big fan of these, GRs and the triple white colorways. They're a little bit too vanilla for me, especially considering the new price points. But when they do something interesting, something different, make the shoe stand out for a different reason, especially when you add scales to it, it definitely makes the shoe a much more interesting proposition. Again, like I've touched on before, affordability is important as well, so the retail price point is actually pretty decent for these. So this is definitely one I'm going to be keeping my eye out for. I fully expect that this will be releasing on the Sneakers app over Nightcap, but I could be wrong on that. And I do feel like if you really want it, hopefully you should be able to get it with relative ease. And last but by no means least, the very final shoe that we are taking a look at is once again another Air Max 1, believe it or not. So the next shoe that we are taking a look at is the Nike Air Max 1 Quick Strike in the Obsidian colorway, scheduled to be releasing on the 30th of September for a retail price of £145. Now I pretty much said all I really want to say about the Air Max 1 in general on the previous two, so I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet to wrap up the video quite quickly. In terms of the shoe itself, I do like the look of it, but I'm not sold on it at the same time. The confirmed pictures make it seem like it's a pretty decent colorway. I can't really complain. I'm not sure about how it looks on the heel. That's probably the biggest off-putting thing for me, but that could definitely change close to the release, especially if we miss out on the Crep Hemp and the denims. I definitely do want to end up with at least one pair in the collection. I'm hoping to grow it as much as possible, but I also don't just want to be adding in Air Max 1s for the sake of it. I have to really appreciate and like the shoes to add it into the collection, so I'm definitely on the fence about these. Not sure if it's something I need for the personal collection, but again, that all might change. Now, if you want to get your hands on these, I do expect that they will be available on Sneakers app, and I do think there will be raffles available, so make sure to enter for all of those. I feel like if you really want it, hopefully, you should be able to get it with limited fuss, because I honestly can't see this one selling out. And just like that, we've wrapped up my top 10 favourite upcoming releases for September. I'd love to get your guys' opinion on it as well, so do let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you have stuck around to this point in the video, as always, I just want to say a massive thank you. If you haven't already, please feel free to smash that subscribe button. Also, do make sure the bell notification is switched on so you never miss a video. And I hope to see you all again in the next one. Peace.